We good? Take two? Okay. All right. Let's open in prayer and then we will jump in and get started here. So, Heavenly Father, we thank you and we praise you for all that you do for us. Lord, we ask now that you just speak through me in a powerful way as we look at another person of faith, maybe two. Lord, Father, I just thank you and I praise you for all that you do. And Lord, I just ask now that you just help us to draw something from the example of this person. And Lord, I just thank you and praise you for that. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. So again, the same verses because we're in a part of Hebrews 11 where they list off a whole bunch of people. So 32 to 34, please.
And what more shall I say? For the time would fail me to tell of Gideon and Barak and Samson and Jephthah, also of David and Samuel and the prophets, who through faith subdued kingdoms, worked righteousness, obtained promises, stopped the mouths of lions, quenched the violence of fire, escaped the edge of the sword, out of weakness were made strong, became vigilant in battle, and turned to flight the armies of the aliens.
Okay. All right. So we're still working through. We've talked about Gideon. We talked about Barak. We talked about Samson. We're not going to, we know about David. So I wasn't really going to spend any time on David right now. But we are going to talk today about Jephthah, and if we have enough time, we'll briefly talk about Samuel. And then next week, we're going to finish out chapter 11, talking about overall the summary here after verse 34. So we are going to be looking at Judges 11 today. It's the story of Jephthah. Anybody know about him?
No.
No?
Probably when you get there on. How are you saying that name?
Jephthah.
Okay,
No, and I'm not sure that I'm saying it right, but
yeah, Jephthah.
yeah.
What chapter did you say? 11.
Judges 11. Okay. Okay. This is now 11 verse 1. Now, Jephthah the Gilead was a mighty man of valor, but was the son of a harlot. And Gilead begot Jephthah. Gilead's wife bore sons, and when his wife's sons grew up, they drove Jephthah out and said to him, You shall have no inheritance of our father's house, for you are the son of another woman. Then Jephthah fled from his brothers and dwelt in the land of Tob, and worthless men banded together with Jephthah and went out raiding with them. It came to pass after a time that the people of Ammon made war against Israel. And so it was when the people of Ammon made war against Israel that the elders of Gilead went to get Jephthah from the land of Tob. And they said to him, Come and be our commander, and that we may fight against the people of Ammon. And Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, Do you not hate me and expel me from my father's house? Why have you come to me now when you are in distress? And the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, This is why we have turned again to you now. That's why we have turned again to you now, that you may go with us and fight against the people of Ammon and be our head over the inhabitants of Gilead. So Jephthah said to the elders of Gilead, this, if you take me back home to fight against the people of Ammon, and the Lord delivers them to me, then I shall be your head. And the elders of Gilead said to Jephthah, the Lord be our witness between us if we do not do according to your words. Okay? All right, so stop there. This is really kind of a long chapter, but let's stop there. Okay, so he is son of a harlot. His daddy was with a harlot, was with another woman, and she conceived a son to him. And so the other brothers didn't really like him, didn't really care for him. Said, you get no part of our father's inheritance because you were not born of our mother, kind of thing. Okay, so we see that a lot today, don't we? Where siblings could just be siblings from the same parents, sometimes have a hard time getting along. But other times it's you get step brothers and half brother, whatever, step siblings and all that stuff, and sometimes they just don't get along. They just don't, there's a lot of jealousy that goes on with things and stuff. And so that's what he's dealing with. So they drove him out. So he goes to Tob, his land of Tob, and gets with a bunch of thugs and criminals and other guys, and they go out and form raiding parties. So why is this guy in the Hall of Faith? Doesn't sound like he's a nice guy.
And that he can fight against the people.
Well, yeah, they brought him back so he could fight against the people. So yeah, but because he did fight against the people and fought valiantly against them and trusted God to do that, to lead him.
So he trusted God.
Right, which we'll see about here in a minute. Right. But I just was curious if anybody kind of picked up, but looked at, like, when you're first reading the story, why is this guy in here? Because he's obviously not a good guy, because he's had a hard life and things like that. So but so they go and they get him and they bring him back. So they come out and they say, hey, just let bygones be bygones. Come on back and help us. We need you now. We need you. We need help. We need your help. And so, and then we want you to lead us if you do accomplish this. And so he agrees. So he goes back. And so he starts out with communication to the king of Ammon and tries to reason with him. And the king of Ammon says, no, when your people were coming, no, because you guys invaded our land when you came out of Egypt. Your people came out of Egypt, and you came through our land and did a lot of damage and all this other stuff. When actually they didn't, because the king of Ammon at that time would not allow them to go through. And so they had to go around Ammon. And so Jephthah tells them, this is what actually happened. But the king wasn't having it. The king was like, nope, no, we got a grudge against you. Even though it's not a real grudge, we got a grudge against you. And we're gonna take you down. We're gonna
little children.
Yeah.
Our children.
Yeah, exactly. So, but okay. So they end up, yeah. So he tries to use diplomacy. We kind of see that going on in some of the world today. Some places where countries try to use diplomacy and whatever, and sometimes people just got to be beaten into submission.
That's what's going on in Iran.
Well, yeah. So, that's a kind of
Talk
a,
about hard-headed, or
yeah, exactly. So,
what is it
but-
you don't understand about it?
right. So, okay. All right. So he's, and so he tells the king of Ammon, he says, therefore, in verse 27, therefore I have not sinned against you, but you wronged me by fighting against me. May the Lord, the judge, render the judgment this day between the children of Israel and the people of Ammon. However, the king of the people of Ammon did not heed the words of Jephthah, sent him. Okay? So now, verse 29. Here's where it gets interesting. Okay? Then the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah, and he passed through Gilead and Manasseh, and passed through Mepes of Gilead, and from there he advanced toward the people of Ammon. And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord, and said, if you will indeed deliver the people of Ammon into my hands, then it will be that whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me, when I return in peace from the people of Ammon, shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it up as a burnt offering. So Jephthah advanced toward the people of Ammon to fight against them, and the Lord delivered him into his hands. And they defeated them from Oer of the Mithrin, 20 cities, and to Abel, Caranan, whatever, with a great slaughter. Thus the people of Ammon were subdued before the children of Israel. So he makes a vow to God and says, God, if you'll help me with this, I will do this. Okay? Is this a good
Is
idea?
that a vow or a bargain?
It's a vow. It calls it a vow in here. Yeah.
Not
And
really,
it says, Jephthah made a vow to the Lord, saying, if you will indeed deliver the people into my hands, then I will take whatever comes out of the doors of my house to meet me. When I return in peace from the people of Ammon shall surely be the Lord's, and I will offer it as a burnt offering. So what were you saying? Not really what?
Not really a vow, it's more like a bargain. I'll do this for you if you'll do that for me.
Yeah. But,
How I see it.
okay. But when we take wedding vows, don't we vow to love and honor and cherish each other? And we both vow to do it?
Yeah.
Okay. So are you making a bargain then? If you love me, I'll love you.
I mean, you just don't go to Jesus and say, or God, and
You
say,
just saying because
because it's God.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll do that for you, but here's what you're gonna do for me.
Right.
Kind of like I do you.
Right.
Kidding.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, because it's God, is that the way He would answer?
Okay.
Well, it seems serious. He was serious.
Yeah.
That word
Yeah,
vow.
He was
Yeah,
serious.
he is serious.
but
Yeah.
Why? Maybe it's like, why does He think God won't deliver people if He don't give Him a sacrifice?
I don't know. And it was usually customary to offer a sacrifice after a great battle anyway, so I don't understand the need for the vow.
Right.
I don't understand the need for the vow. Right. And he's saying the first thing, I will give you the first thing that comes out of my house to greet me. The first whatever. Okay. Now, I don't know what in his mind was thinking would be the first thing to come out of his house.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting ready to see that it's not going to be a good thing. Okay. So, verse 34, When Jephthah came to his house at Mizpeh, there was his daughter coming out to meet him with timbrels and dancing, and she was his only child. Besides her, he had neither son nor daughter. And it came to pass, when he saw her, he tore his clothes and said, Alas, my daughter, you have brought me very low. You are among those who trouble me. For I have given my word to the Lord, and I cannot go back on it. So she said to him, My father, if you have given your word to the Lord, do to me according to what has gone out of your mouth, because the Lord has avenged you of your enemies and the people of Ammon. Then she said to her father, Let this thing be done to me. Let me alone for 2 months, that I may go and wander on the mountains and bewail my virginity with my friends and I. So he said, Go, and he sent her away for 2 months, and she went with her friends, and they bewailed her virginity on the mountain for 2 months, or on the mountains. And so it was at the end of the 2 months that she returned to her father, and he carried out his vow with her which he had vowed. She knew no man. It became a custom in Israel that the daughters of Israel went 4 days each year to lament the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite. Okay, what y'all think?
That's why you don't make bargains with God.
There you go. There you go. And some commentators think that, this was one of the things that Jesus was talking about when he said, don't make a vow to God. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. And don't make a vow to God. Don't make deals with God.
Right.
Don't make deals with the devil, for sure. And don't try to make deals or vows with God. Bargains, deals, vows, however you want to put it. Okay?
And he stood up to it, but still, this is a pretty equipment.
Well, there's some differences of opinion on this. Huh? Yes, there is. Whether or not he actually carried out the vow to offer her as a burnt offering. Which is what he said. But somewhere in Leviticus and all those laws, it says do not sacrifice your child to God. So it was actually against Jewish law to do this. Well, no, he didn't. He didn't vow. Right, he said whatever the first thing was, and I guess he thought some piece of cattle was going to walk through the door or something or whatever. Maybe his wife. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so it's actually against Jewish law to sacrifice your child.
And he should have known that. Or did
Well,
know
he
that.
did know that, but he wasn't thinking his daughter would be, or even his wife probably would be the first things out the door to greet him. He was expecting a dog or something. I know they didn't have dogs at that time or whatever, but a chicken or something coming out of the house or something. I don't know. But he figured, first thing out, and they walked over to him out in the field or whatever. But it just happened to be that it was his daughter. And God is probably showing him here, don't make vows to me that, okay. So it's against Jewish law. So a lot of commentators believe, because she said, please let me go up on the mountain with my friends for 2 months and bewail her virginity. Talk about basically mourning over the fact that she would die not knowing a man. And so some commentators believe that he actually did carry through with offering his daughter as a burnt offering. But a lot of commentators and a lot of people believe that what and her willingness to do it, and but saying, let me go up on the mountain and dwell on this for 2 months or whatever, that basically she was going to live the rest of her life in dedication to God, and that she would be like a nun. She would not be in relations with a man, and she would be in complete total service to God, and she would never get married and never all that stuff. Okay, but the other thing about this is this, because it was his only child, this ended his lineage either way, whether he offered her as a burnt offering or if she was celibate the rest of her life.
Can I read this in commentary and
Sure.
talking about chapter 11, verses 30 and 31? It says, in the midst of the battle, Jephthah sought to bargain with God by offering the Lord a private sacrifice to ensue his own victory. God's use of Jephthah to deliver Israelites was not in response to Jephthah's vow. God had rejected human sacrifice and had given specific prohibitions against it. Parents were not allowed to sacrifice their children. And here, Jephthah, influenced no doubt by the customs of the pagan cultures around him, tried to get what he wanted in his own way without knowing the outcome of his foolish vow. Ironically, as Jephthah suffered the sins of his parents, his daughter was to suffer because of her father's foolish vow. The unnamed girl responded with courage and accepted the consequences of her father's vow. Jephthah's line came to an end, even if Jephthah merely devoted his daughter to perpetual virginity, as some scholars believe. Other references are made to unlawful human sacrifice. But yeah.
Right.
So,
But he did rule. We're going to see, if you keep reading his story in chapter 12, which we don't have time for, but if you keep reading his story, that there was a conflict with another group of people, and he led them in battle against them, and he won there, and then he ruled Israel. He was the judge of Israel for 6 years before he died. Okay, so we see that he did rule. So if he had done an unlawful sacrifice,
God wouldn't have let him become a Roman.
right, pretty much. Okay, so very likely it is that she ended up, and the fact that it says in verse 40, and the daughters of Israel went 4 days each year to lament the daughter of Jephthah the Gileadite. So they honored her by, you know, staying celibate for 4 days, you know, each year and stuff. In they honored her or whatever. Okay. The good thing here is that he taught his daughter enough to respect God enough that she said, well, you told him you were going to do it. You got to carry through on it, even though it's, you know, and now, even though he's blaming her, instead of being happy that she came out and to greet him and see him, and after he's come back from this battle and everything, you know, family member coming out to see him and whatever, he says, oh no, you brought me to low, you brought me very low, and to ruin and all this other stuff, and everything. But basically, you know, we're seeing here is that his daughter basically ended up living a life like he did, except she was in dedication to God if she wasn't sacrificed, but that she was in dedication to God, whereas he ended up being shunned from his family. She ended up kind of the same way, you know, and stuff. And so, you know, being kind of out of the family and things like that. So we see that, you know, because, like it said, because of, like you just read, because of his foolish vow. Okay. So we got to be careful not to make foolish vows. And then another commentator, I did want to put this in, but we got to wrap it up. There was also King Saul made a decree and a vow to God that if he said that if any of the soldiers, the people in the army, ate or drank before a certain thing had happened, then that person would be put to death. Well, his son Jonathan, who was among them and in the battle with them, grabbed some honey and ate it. And so really he should have been put to death. But King Saul, or the advisors and the other people of King Saul, basically told him, no, don't do that. That's dumb. Don't don't do that. So they advised him against it and everything like that. So it was probably the same kind of case here. Is that because it was human, because it was his daughter and or whatever, if it was a servant, he might have sacrificed the servant. I don't know, because it was kind of human sacrifice. We don't participate in human sacrifice. It's not what we do. The only human sacrifice is Christ on the cross for us. And so, and stuff. But yeah, so it's probably, I guess I'm more of the camp is that she ended up living her life as a nun, or whatever you want to say, in dedication to God, and never married, never had children. And that's how she lived out her life, even though that was not her choice. It was, so I think the faith was great, that he trusted God to take him into these battles and to lead him into these battles, and also to lead the people. But sometimes you can get carried away. I think we see that here in this example, that you get carried away, and sometimes you say and do things that really you don't need to. You don't need to at all. So
It's human nature.
it is. It is. So, but
that's what,
yeah.
People are still doing those kinds of things.
Oh yeah. Yeah, people are still making deals with God. So,
Yeah, we're not human nature. That's why I like to study the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm. So, right. So, I mean,
human beings are still the same.
Yeah. So
sometimes you have to sort of dig in the history, but like you've done.
Mm-hmm.
But you can still see that.
Yeah. So, exactly. So,
we're still doing those things.
Oh yeah, people are still out there making deals with God, barters, vows, whatever you want to call them, with God to get what they want, and they shouldn't be doing that. So that's why Jesus says, "Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Don't make a vow." So
I see that little guy.